Welcome back to Reinvention Real Talk, the podcast where we dive deep into the stories of women who are rewriting the script of their lives, careers, and purpose. I am your host, Karen Larea, and today's episode is definitely one you do not want to miss. My guest today, she is a visionary in beauty and wellness space, someone who is not only building powerful brands, but also empowering women to rediscover their sensuality, their self-confidence, and their inner voice. Joining me today is Orla Maguire, the founder of Lash Star Beauty and now the sensual force behind Lubify, a luxurious intimacy brand that's changing the way we think about pleasure, aging, and empowerment, ladies. Originally from Ireland with a background in fashion, editorial beauty, and now holistic intimacy coaching, which we will get into that, Orla is redefining what it means to glow from the inside out. Orla, welcome to Reinvention Real Talk.
Thank you, Karen. So fab. So thrilled to be here chatting.
Yes. I am so excited over this conversation. It is going to be a good one. We make it spicy, so
I'm here for it.
yes, let's get into it. I want to talk about the woman behind the brand. So you have such a rich and layered background from fashion, London Fashion Week, to editorial beauty at Cosmopolitan, which is huge. Can you take us back to those early days, Orla? Like, who was Orla back then, and how did those experiences shape the woman and entrepreneur that you are today?
Thank you. I think as a child growing up, I was always just fascinated with fashion and beauty. So, from a very young age, I probably realized that I wasn't going to make all my dreams come true living in Ireland. So I set sights to come to New York where it's all happening. So in my early 20s, after I graduated with a degree in fashion, I did manage to get a visa and come to New York. And I worked on photo shoots and I worked with a lot of celebrities. I really had a fabulous career in styling, and then took a full-time position at Cosmo. And it was during my years at Cosmo where I really was, it's all about the fun, fearless female. And that just kind of really set me on almost a different journey, really just the journey to kind of understand and help women look their best, most fabulous, sexy selves,
Yes.
So that's kind of where it started.
Yes. Oh my gosh. That must have been such a fun time for you. I mean, learning and, like you said, coming from Ireland and New York City, which is, like, if it doesn't happen in New York, where is it happening? Because everything happens in New York. So,
Absolutely.
yes.
Was working with so many big names in the industry, whether it was, models, photographers, hairdressers, makeup artists, being on set for all of those kind of really momentous occasions put the foundation in me, to really then just carve a path. And it was during those days that I really on set realized that when the lashes were done, the model really transformed. I could see this confidence exuding from her, and that's when I decided, what, there's no brand out there that speaks specifically to lashes, and lashes are our secret weapon. So I wanted to kind of create a brand that speaks specifically to lashes. So that's when I created Lash Star Beauty in 2016, and it was really on my journey of creating the brand and talking to women. And I sell at Neiman Marcus, Blue Mercury. I would go around the country doing store events and meeting real women. And that's when it all kind of was probably the most rewarding for me, because when you talk to real people and they tell you how much they love the product and how they just feel more confident with mascara and how special, it's a treat for them, that was really instrumental in kind of taking my journey a step further, and then now evolving into sexual wellness. Because to me it was, okay, confidence, where's our confidence coming? It's coming from the inside out. We could look good, feel good, but then as the conversation started to grow, and of course, as we're all aging and menopause became a real thing, and it's so at the forefront right now, I just felt there still was nothing on the market that spoke to women in that sensual, confident, sexy way. And being in brands now and loving packaging, it is all about the experience. So I wanted to kind of just create a product that was going to just be something you would enjoy buying, feel good with, and again, just taking that confidence to the next level for you.
Yes, absolutely. Yes. I was going to ask you where your turning point and where you realized that lashes could be more than just a beauty enhancement. And you just gave me the most beautiful answer. So let's go right into reinvention. We know Lash Star was your first baby and it was such a success. So now going into Lubify, that feels more like a deeper, more personal offering. What inspired that transition from external beauty to internal confidence and pleasure?
Took the notion that lube is the new lipstick once you turn 40, and it's something that we should all just be able to carry as we carry other products in our bag and be proud and, not have to kind of shroud ourselves in guilt. So my goal really was to kind of pierce the veil of shame and guilt that we hold around sexual wellness and having these kind of products for ourselves. But I also kind of wanted to change, raise the bar and kind of change the paradigm a little bit with the category. So for me, I wanted to bring a product that was almost the intersection of skincare, fragrance, and sexual wellness because, I am embedded in beauty. Fragrance is one of my biggest passions. So I wanted to kind of marry all of it and just have a product that we all wanted to own, wanted to buy, and wanted to have on us. So
Yes, yes, especially I like you had this vision of a market that when it came to women, sensuality and self-care, and you said, okay, as an entrepreneur, I am going to do this. And Lubify really it is a luxury lube. It's a luxe lube. It's delicious. It's something that's new. And especially, I do want to ask like, why do you believe women over 40 especially need this product? We absolutely do. But conversations need to happen like this. Conversations at Lubify because so many of us are hiding behind that veil of I can't speak about this, and you have brought this to the forefront and you've done it in such a beautiful, elegant way that you can actually have these conversations. So what actually like triggered inside and said, "Hey, you know what? I believe women over 40 need this."
I think as, perimenopause and menopause become real issues for women, women are more adept at talking about these things. But, I have a couple of ladies on my team who are fabulous, who are young moms, and we talk about it all the time as well, that, postpartum after you've had even your first child, and if you're in your 20s 30s,
Yes.
lube is going to be your friend. So it's not just necessarily for 40 and beyond, but when menopause and perimenopause did become such the kind of focal point in conversations, and women were becoming more educated, we were becoming more confident about talking about our needs and our desires, it just seems that, once we get to this age, we're like, yeah, I don't need to hide behind it anymore. I'm going to just talk about it and address it and make sure that I have the products I need. No shame.
Absolutely. And I love that you brought up that women, postpartum in their 20s may need this, women in their 30s who may be stressed out. There's so much that goes on with our bodies that, a man can't understand. It's no shame to them and it's no downgrade to them, but it truly is. And I love that you brought that up, especially though I try to tend, because it's called Reinvention Real Talk for the second part of your, it's for the second half of your life and reinvention. But it's funny because the larger majority of my listeners, my followers, my viewers are actually in the age bracket of like 28 to like 38, which is funny. So I'm so happy that you brought that up because this is something that's so necessary. It's not just like you said, people facing over 40 or, perimenopause or menopause. So I love that this is really a product that is for everyone. And Lubify is more than a lubricant. I think reading about it and getting to know the product, it is an invitation, for women to be able to feel that sensuality. So I want to know, like, what is your philosophy? Tell us about the philosophy behind the brand and what it means to you for women to make sensual self-care a daily ritual, because it really should be a daily ritual for us.
Absolutely, it should be a daily ritual. And I love when I meet ladies and they're like, I don't need lube, you know what I mean? And I'm like, well, let me just take a test with you. Try it because, once you try it, you'll decide even if you don't need it, you're going to have better experiences going forward with it, So really it is that's one thing I get the most satisfaction out of, is just having the conversations with women, because, once you kind of break the seal, we're all happy to talk and share, and, especially about our experiences. And then kind of, you can kind of go a layer deeper and express, well, really, are you having the most fulfilling time? Would it be better? And then when you kind of pose it as a question and, just try it, be open to it, because let me tell you, it will be better, and it can be better, and it's going to always be better. And especially, pleasure and intimacy are something I feel very passionate about. And pleasure, of course, it's all of our senses that really make for the most, enjoyable, pleasurable, intimate experience. And that was one thing that I really wanted to be mindful with the brand, is that it's not just another lube. It's going to deliver on so many areas, and that's why I literally spent a year in research and development to fine-tune the scent, because I wanted it to be an elevated luxury scent. There's a lot of products on the market that have just, kind of just not enticing or exciting scents, just mainstream, whether it's fruit flavors, it's different things. But I wanted to kind of elevate it and keep it luxurious. And, I like to say it's like the Tom Ford of lubes. It's just a decadent experience, because, once you kind of take in the scent, and then, of course, the texture. It's an all-natural lube, which is fantastic. So it's very simple ingredients: hyaluronic acid, vitamin E, squalene, silicone, exactly what we're going to put on our face. If you think about even our primers or anything. And that's the thing as well. We spend hours massaging oil into our cuticles. We take care of every part of our body that's on display. We should also be taking care of the parts of our body that aren't on display. And that's also my goal, is to kind of take the shame around having that ritual for yourself, because, wellness, it incorporates all aspects. Sexual wellness is hugely important.
Absolutely. And I love how you said, because it's Lubify is like the intersection of skincare, fragrance, sexual wellness. And so I love that it was so important for you, the product design, everything that went into it. So it really is something that is, curated and crafted with all those things in mind. Now, there's something that I did read that you did say, and that you said that confidence does not stop at beauty. So my question to you is, how do you think pleasure and intimacy impact a woman's confidence as she reinvents herself?
Well, it's an inside out job, right? So if we're feeling really good inside, that exudes, we got the glow, we feel more confident. And it's all about, as well, I love to talk about like our divine feminine energy. And I think that when we are completely in touch with ourselves, all of that comes out. So, whether you're a mother, a wife, a sister, a partner, you're going to be the best version of yourself. And that'll carry through into your workday, your relationships, because, again, it's having that inner confidence that just kind of exudes out of you and makes you a happier person, makes you a more pleasant person, makes you a more creative person. So it's a win-win when we are in touch with ourselves.
Yes. Oh, I love that. Well, I don't think you are slowing down anytime soon. I think, you've got Lubify expansions, you've got new product lines, and those beautiful new card decks are coming. And I really want you to tell me about those.
Well, thank you. During my whole quest, to help women feel confident and everything else, I just took a little side road, let's say, and decided to do intimacy coaching. So I'm a certified intimacy coach through somatics and embodied intimacy, which really is of the body, and I always reframe intimacy as into me see. And just in sessions I've had with clients, I realize that a lot of the times when people are, kind of having issues with their partner, it boils down to actually their relationship with themselves, Yes. So that's when I realized, we kind of sometimes, we don't see the wood through the trees, that we don't realize that, well, hey, maybe it's my issue here, So that's what kind of spurred me to create a card deck with just intimacy tips. So I have the intimacy and into us see for couples, and they're launching in August. And really, it's just a little ritual every day. Take a card out of the deck, and whether it's, tracing your fingers along your collarbone, just circling your pelvic bone, just, holding your hand on your heart and your hand on your belly, and just taking that time, maybe first thing in the morning, maybe in the shower, maybe when you're, on your commute, to just kind of spend a few minutes to reconnect with yourself. And I
Yeah.
know that once you're kind of more connected with yourself, then you're able to be more expressive and expansive with your partner. You're able to vocalize and verbalize what feels good for you, what doesn't feel good, and kind of communication, really,
Oh
you
my
know.
God, absolutely. And I love that these are coming out because it does. I think it gives us support to women and reconnecting with their bodies. For couples, like you said, how can that help partners explore, go deeper, into an embodied intimacy, which is, and I think you hit the nail on the head, which is wonderful about a lot of the issues within relationships and couples is, or even sometimes when you can't even find yourself in dating, and in that mindset of putting yourself out there, is because those issues are within yourself. And I think all these things, those card decks that are coming out, I think those are so important, definitely. So I think that is going to be a hit as well. You are just an entrepreneur. You are just going ahead, and I love that. And I know also in later this year, you have some new scents coming out with Lubify. You have water-based versions coming out in 2026. So what inspired those innovations? What said, okay, hold on, I have to rethink this and I'm going to put out more than just the original?
Right. Well, I think, we all know one size doesn't fit all. So,
Mhm.
I want to be very mindful. There are women out there and men, of course. The product is for everybody, and that's the
Yeah.
beauty of it. And I was very, doing the packaging and everything, keeping it elevated, but very just classy and elegant, gender
Mhm.
neutral, good for everybody.
Yes.
And some people do have a preference for water-based lube, so
Yeah.
I wanted to be mindful of that. So that's on the expansion line. And then just in terms of fragrance, I could develop scent till, I'm blue in the face, but I get
Mhm.
so excited about scent. So I wanted to kind of still continue along with more unusual, elevated, but totally unisex. So Lotus is my new scent, which is very aquatic and sensual. It's absolutely gorgeous. I can't wait to launch that. And then also Luxe Lube Nude, which is our unscented version for
Oh,
those who still want to kind of stay away from fragrance. But they're all used with essential oils. It's high grade. There's no people sometimes have allergies and reactions. So I
mhm.
always like to preface it by saying they're like the equivalent of the FDA in terms of essential oils. They're really high quality and beautiful and just linger and kind of help with the arousal. So it's
Yes.
that whole experience.
I love that you included men in this because this is not just for women. So I love that you did that, and you are also marketing to men because sometimes we forget about them, and I think that is wonderful that you are doing that. Yes, but so now I want to get into a little bit of the spicier part. You're also an intimacy coach. You're offering techniques to help people reconnect with their bodies, reconnect in relationships. So how did that part of your journey begin?
Through conversation, and that's what it is. And that's, like I always say, it's my favorite thing to do is just to engage with real women and kind of just get down to the ground level of, well, what is going on in the bedroom? How is your sex life? How are your orgasms? Because, without all of this, then how are you getting by? Because I realize as well, there's so many women who are maybe in fulfilling marriages, partnerships,
Mhm.
relationships, but sex isn't just an important thing for them. Maybe they've had issues and decided, you know what? Okay, I can just forego this part of the relationship. Everything else is great. I can
Mhm.
forego this. But, for me, I'm like, no, why?
Yeah.
Why? It's the most important bit. So
Yes.
let's peel back the layers and get to the base root of that connection and let's rekindle it because it is such an
Mhm.
important thing. And then I think once you start to have the conversations and realize that, let the person you're speaking with realize that, well, this is something that they can totally control themselves
Yeah.
and navigate it to how it suits their dynamic, and just overcoming, I suppose, the fear and the anxiety that women have, and just helping them
Mhm.
to be more, communicative with their partner, to be more confident in themselves, in looking for pleasure and being pleased. So just
Yes.
having, kind of just asserting women to have the conversation
I
because we
love
all
that.
all
And
deserve
I
it.
can see Orla in your local coffee shop coming up to you, asking these questions because I think They are very, it's in a very important conversation to have with that. And so, like, for women that feel disconnected with their sensuality, can you give our listeners, like, where do they be, or just even men, like, where do they begin? Where is that first step? What would be the first step that you give them? Like a little takeaway from this interview. Where can they start?
Well, the first thing I always say is, what brings you pleasure? Maybe you like to sing, maybe you like to garden, maybe you like to do something that isn't of a sexual nature, but just to then focus on what brings you pleasure and almost bask in it and enjoy it, and then take it to a sensual level, start having a bath, start lighting candles, start, just spending some time alone with yourself, whether it's putting body cream on after a bath. We're always in a rush. We're always kind of trying to
Mhm.
be at the next place, but just to kind of stop, listen to your body. And for me, I always love to just with clients do the hand on the heart and the hand on the belly. And what does
Yes.
that bring to you? Just, close your eyes for a few minutes and just with one hand on your heart and one hand on your tummy, just let yourself feel calm, see what's coming through your body. The thoughts will come in, but let them go. And just, feel your heart, feel your heartbeat and just connect. And then I think it is once you get that first connection with yourself, then it gets easier as it goes on, right? So, and
Mhm.
that's the importance of taking that time to connect with yourself and
Mhm.
then connecting with your partner.
Absolutely. And just that simple act of, like you said, begin with just putting your hand on your heart or, putting it on your belly. Like it's so important. Like that little step can begin the most beautiful journey within yourself. And I love that you did give that advice with just to start just with that. I think it's wonderful. It definitely is. Yes, for sure. Now let's talk about your legacy. Okay. Not just as a founder, but like, what do you want your legacy to be? What is Orla Maguire's legacy as a woman who helped other women feel extraordinary? What do you want that to be left as?
I want people to feel open and relaxed to have the conversation. I think, taking away just the shame and the guilt is my primary goal, is that we
Mhm.
should be able to talk about it. And that's one thing I love is that once I start the conversation, it's tense for a moment usually, but then you can see, the facade just drops. It's okay. It's safe. It's easy to talk about. So for me, it's the power of talking about it.
Yeah.
Whether even with our friends, I think a lot of us as women we never discuss what goes on in the bedroom with our
Mm.
girlfriends,
Yeah.
and because we all try to pretend we have these perfect lives, perfect relationships, perfect everything. And
Yes.
I'm a mom of four growing kids. I'm single. I'm able to just feel confident in these conversations. So I've lived a life and I get it.
Absolutely. Yes, yes, yes. I think that is wonderful. Yes. Now I want to shift gears a little bit, okay? And I want to go a little underneath the surface. So you are building brands that help women feel beautiful, sensual, seen, but that work, that kind of work always comes from a personal place. So I want to talk about the woman behind the mission. So what part of yourself did you have to heal, reclaim, and forgive in order for Orla to show up in this part of her life that she can give this space to other women?
Yeah. I found myself divorced at 44, which is a very young age.
Yes.
And, I think coming out of a divorce and being a single woman and navigating for the
Mm,
last many years, well, where
yes.
am I going to be in my future with relationships and, you
Mhm.
know, doing the online dating, having dinners, meeting friends, but
Yeah.
really just I've loved spending so much time alone and kind of getting through all of this myself because I do meet other women and they go straight from one relationship to the next to the
Yeah.
next. And
Yeah.
none of them are very satisfying and they're still
Yes.
wondering why. And I'm like, well, this is when you need to actually kind of pull
Mhm.
back and spend time with yourself and realize what floats your boat, what gets you excited.
Yes.
And I think in the fast-paced world we all live in, that we forget to just,
Yeah.
take time for ourselves. So that's one thing to me that probably started shaping my journey, was kind of
Mhm.
finding myself alone and being in this situation
Mhm.
where it's like, okay, what's next? How do I navigate being 44 and not having, regular intimacy and not having a partner, and how am I going
Yes.
to, navigate the unknown? So that's
Mhm.
really what put me on the journey. And as the journey has evolved and become more fulfilling, just in every aspect, and having the conversations and helping women, and even for my own confidence, it's just like
Yes.
developing both brands, and me knowing what it takes to feel good, to feel confident. So between the lashes
Absolutely.
and the lube, it's putting my best foot forward as much as I can, and helping other women to do the same.
Yes, and absolutely. I think that's a huge part. You do have to heal yourself first,
Yeah.
before going on. And this is why you can help women today. I kind of have a similar story where I got divorced,
Right.
and also went into a relationship when I shouldn't have, and then realized that when that relationship ended, oh, wait a minute, I have to spend time with myself. And that was the most beautiful self gratifying, the most beautiful gift you can give yourself. So it's so wonderful that you said that. And a lot of people, men or women, don't understand that you have got to be able to have alone time with yourself. And I love that you said that, because oh my gosh, we could be besties, because I love alone time. I'm like, no, I don't want to go out. I want to stay by myself. Yeah.
No, I'm always like the fifth wheel with some couple of friends, and I'm like, I'm good.
Yeah,
you know?
yes, and even like I adore my children. I want them with me 99.9%, but that little 0.5%, I love when the house is quiet. I'm by
Yes.
myself, and I have me time. So I love that you said that. It's definitely, I can see why you are this, amazing entrepreneur, why you are this intimacy coach, because you have found that spot, that place, that peace within yourself to be able to hold that space for other people. So, but I do want to ask you, I know at some point we do feel invisible in our life. So at what point in your life did you feel invisible and you said, no, 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 hold on, I've got to take power? Besides, you coming out of a divorce, there's got to be another time where you were like, no, this is not for me.
I think in the last few years, I've really realized it's not that this isn't for me. It's but like there's so much more I can be doing.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, well, I can just stay here
Mm-hmm.
and remain here, you
Yeah.
know? And that's not for me, because I just know that my journey needs to keep going and keep creating and keep evolving and keep helping women. So that's really what, I think over the last kind of getting out of the weeds in the first few years of being alone and single and finding myself. But then, okay, here I am. What's next?
Yes.
And that's where I'm at. It's like, okay, what's after this? Keep going. And
Yes. Yeah.
loving the journey, because
Yeah.
it's not always about the destination, right? It is about the journey. And that's, to me, the most fulfilling, everything I'm doing now.
Yes, preach that absolutely all day long. Say that sermon, because that is true. It's not the destination, it is the journey. That's the most important part. So getting to that journey, let me ask you, what would younger Orla be proud of you today? Like what would she say, "Oh my gosh, I am so proud of her."
I think she'd be so proud that I'm talking and dealing with issues, that are traditionally taboo.
Hmm.
Growing up as a Catholic Irish girl in Ireland, you know what I mean? If I was able to be my little self back then and look at me now, I'd be like, no way. There's
Yeah.
no way I would dare broach all of this. But I'm so happy that I am and that I do. And if I looked at my younger self, I would just say, no, don't be afraid. It's okay to just keep going, keep pushing, keep doing it.
Yes, and I
Mhm.
think so many of us are afraid of that. I think it's so important to go within yourself and visualize your younger self talking to
Yes.
you as you are today. It is so
Right.
important to heal that, and even not just the healing, but just to say, like you just said, "Hey, wow, keep going. I'm proud of you." Wow, we're here today. A lot of us don't do that, and I think a lot of us are missing out. So wow, I mean, like, thank you for you're willing to go that deep and actually share that, because that is going to resonate with a lot of people that are listening. So I absolutely love that. So tell me, we're coming to the end. I know it's quick. People always say, why are your interviews so quick? You know why? Because I want my listeners to go and actually to go to my guests' website, go to their Instagram accounts, go to their different social media accounts and find out more about them. Because I always like to leave them with a little bit of my guests, wanting for them to know about them more. So I want to hear, like, where can people find you? Where can they find Lubify? Where do you want them to go to get in touch with you?
ilubify.com is where you can find Lubify, and I would love to offer your listeners Lubify20 is a discount code for 20% off. So if anybody does want to hop over to iLubify and enter code Lubify20 at checkout and get 20% off all
I
products.
love that. I'm going to put that in the show notes. So guys, it's in the show notes for you. So definitely this is just a product you guys should not be without. It is wonderful. That is where you can find Orla Maguire. And here is my final question that I ask every one of my guests, Orla. What is reinvention to you in one word?
Opportunity.
Ooh, I like that. Opportunity. Yes. I love that. Yes. Well, you heard it here, guys, first from the founder and creator of Lubify, Luxe Lube. Definitely check them out. Like we just said in the show notes, there is a special discount code for you guys to get your Lubify, which you are going to love. Orla, thank you for your heart, for your vision, for your wisdom, and your courage to bring this conversation into the light. Whether it's through lashes, through luxury, intimacy, or some sort of wisdom, because you gave us plenty today, which I love. You dropped some gems. You are helping women and men show up further and freer within themselves. To everyone listening, make sure, like we said, shop Lubify. We got that discount code for you. And stay tuned for Into Me See and Into Us See. Those card decks are coming out because this movement from Orla Maguire is just getting started. If you did love today's episode, share this with a friend, subscribe to the show, and leave a review. Until next time, remember, your reinvention is your power. I'm your host, Karen Larea, and this is Reinvention Real Talk. Thank you so much, Orla, for joining me.
Thank you, Karen.